Every second, enormous amounts of global data travel silently through cables beneath oceans. These underwater cables form the physical backbone of the modern digital civilization. Over 95% of international internet traffic depends entirely on this system. Financial markets, governments, and militaries rely on cables few people ever notice. Despite their importance, their ownership and exact locations remain mostly unknown. The internet feels wireless, yet its foundation is fragile, physical, and deeply exposed. Thousands of kilometers of fiber optic lines rest quietly across the ocean floor. A single damaged cable can disrupt economies, markets, and national communications. In 2008, a cable failure near Egypt slowed internet access across several continents. That incident exposed a vulnerability governments were not prepared to publicly discuss. The oceans have turned into invisible battlegrounds for digital power and influence. Most cables pass through a limited number of coastal landing points around the globe. These landing stations act as choke points rarely mentioned in political conversations. Whoever controls them gains leverage over data speed, access, and connectivity. The United States dominates global cable infrastructure through its technology companies. American firms finance, operate, and maintain large portions of global data flows. This dominance provides Washington with significant informational and strategic influence. However, rival powers have accelerated efforts to build alternative cable networks. China has invested heavily in routes connecting Asia, Africa, and Europe directly. These projects reduce dependence on Western-controlled digital infrastructure. Officially commercial, they also serve long-term geopolitical objectives. Russia focuses less on expansion and more on resilience and digital isolation. Moscow has tested systems designed to disconnect from the global internet if needed. This reflects preparation for a fragmented and contested digital future. Submarine cables can be monitored, tapped, or physically damaged with precision. Specialized submarines are capable of operating near critical cable routes. Publicly, they conduct research missions, though their true capabilities remain classified. During rising tensions, cables become pressure points without visible confrontation. Cutting data lines can cause disruption without triggering immediate military response. Financial systems depend on milliseconds provided only by fiber optic connections. Even slight delays can cost billions and destabilize markets within minutes. Military command structures also rely on uninterrupted secure data transmission. Cable disruption during crises could weaken coordination and national defense. Smaller nations are especially vulnerable to this hidden digital dependency. Many rely on just one or two international cable connections for access. If those links fail, digital isolation occurs almost instantly. Neutrality offers little protection in an infrastructure-dependent global system. Private corporations now act as geopolitical actors through cable ownership. Technology firms design routes to avoid unstable or hostile regions. These routing decisions reshape global connectivity without public oversight. Africa's internet growth depends largely on foreign-owned submarine cables. This creates dependency beneath promises of digital inclusion and development. Repairs often take weeks due to depth, weather, and logistical challenges. During outages, entire economies operate at reduced digital capacity. Insurance costs for cable projects have surged amid rising geopolitical risks. The seabed is increasingly treated as strategic territory by major powers. International law offers limited protection for underwater digital infrastructure. Monitoring thousands of kilometers of cable is practically impossible. This uncertainty significantly increases their strategic value and vulnerability. Modern conflicts no longer require visible weapons to cause massive disruption. Silent interference can achieve strategic objectives without open escalation. As artificial intelligence expands, data transmission becomes even more critical. This makes submarine cables central to future power competition. New Arctic routes are planned as melting ice opens shorter data paths. These routes promise faster connections between major global markets. They also introduce new risks in contested northern regions. By 2030, cable security may rival oil pipeline protection. Nations are integrating underwater infrastructure defense into military planning. Some quietly map foreign cables near their territorial waters. Others develop rapid response units for underwater repair and intervention. Control is shifting from territory ownership to connection management. Future crises may begin with unexplained digital disruptions. Citizens will experience outages without understanding the true cause. Markets may react before governments issue official explanations. Power increasingly belongs to those who control data flows. The internet promised openness, but reality is managed access. Digital freedom rests on infrastructure shaped by geopolitics. Every message travels through routes governed by power structures. Those routes are negotiated, monitored, and sometimes weaponized. The next global crisis may not begin with tanks or missiles crossing borders. It may start with silence spreading across screens in multiple countries at once. As digital dependence increases, systemic vulnerability expands at the same speed. Submarine cables are no longer neutral infrastructure but tools of geopolitical power. They connect economies while quietly reinforcing new global lines of division. Governments publicly minimize their importance to avoid alarming their populations. Privately, they prepare for conflicts that unfold far beneath the ocean's surface. Technology did not remove geopolitics, it merely relocated it into hidden spaces. The ocean floor has quietly become a contested and strategic global domain. Disruption now offers influence without the need for physical occupation. Escalation in this domain is difficult to detect and even harder to attribute quickly. Responsibility is often unclear, delayed, and politically sensitive to assign. Each new cable strengthens certain nations while increasing dependence for others. Truly neutral digital infrastructure is becoming increasingly rare worldwide. Global connectivity now carries hidden costs that most societies never consider. Control depends less on borders and more on ownership of invisible systems. The future of geopolitical power lies beneath international waters. What remains unseen often shapes global outcomes more than visible force. Submarine cables now define modern sovereignty in subtle but decisive ways. They quietly carry data, influence, leverage, and strategic advantage. The internet's deepest roots lie far below the surface of the world's oceans. Very few people will ever see this infrastructure or understand its importance. Even fewer will have any control over how it is used or protected. Yet billions depend on its stability every single day without realizing it. Disrupting this system can reshape economies faster than traditional warfare. In the modern world, silence can now be more powerful than open force. The next major digital blackout may not be an accident or technical failure. It may be carefully calculated to send a geopolitical message. It may be timed to exploit moments of maximum global vulnerability. And it may already be planned by actors who prefer to remain unseen.